Charts, graphics, tables, and text. That's what we're going to be going through in the next couple of slides, just talking about the most effective ways to use each of these to get your message across. What I have here is just something I've used quite a bit, picked it up off Google. There's plenty on there. Essentially, what do I want to show, and then which charts do I use? So I think it's a really good way that you can sit there and go, well, if I want to show a relationship, a comparison, distribution, composition. Regardless of what I want to show, it's a really good start in order to understand which charts I'm going to use to make sure I'm getting the message of my tagline across. In organizations, these are going to be the 4 most common types of charts you're going to need to prepare. So make sure you're familiar with each one, what each of them does, and how to best get the message across using them. So I'll start with our pie chart. This has our breakdown of staff, and it gives us the percentage of the total. Everything's labelled in there so it's easy to read. So you might say something along the lines of 50% of the staff are located in the call centre, which is why we're going to specifically look at reducing that number. You've got the graph there. It's very, very clear for people to follow. You've told them the information and you've given it there, proving it's correct. We jump over to the other side and we look at the Australian sales per year graph. This starts to show change growth over time. So we can start to see how the business has changed. Things have either increased or decreased. As we can see here, the percentage has gone up, the dollar figure's gone up in 2011 and dropped into 2014. So we can start making inferences right now and use that as a catalyst to make change. The things, if we continue the way we are, we're going to continue this downward trend. What are we going to do? If we jump down to the bottom, forward curve for iron ore and thermal coal. Again, another way to show change growth over time. The reason I really like this is it's comparing iron ore with coal and it's showing that they're coming together. So we're seeing the decrease with iron ore and the increase only slightly with coal. And we can start to make some very clear messages out of that. Another big one you're going to be asked to use is the comparison between variables. So here we've got the chart where we start to look at Indonesia getting higher and higher, and the other ones are reducing their thermal coal exports. Let me just check. We are seeing a little bit of change with South Africa there, a little bit of change with Australia, but the big one is through Indonesia. So we might want to point out the figures in 2014. We might want to pick out the figures in 2015. So really focus in on what you want to show there. Regardless of which chart you decide to use, it should make sense to the reader without you explaining it to them. With any deck that you prepare, imagine that you're handing it out into the world and you're not going to be there to explain it to people. So it might be handed to someone's boss. It might be handed to someone's second in manager in charge. It could find its ways to the CEO's desk if it's that good. You want it to be that good, and it's going to be that good if you start labeling things that make sense without you there to explain it. So a big one here is charts. This is where a lot of people fall down. The title of the chart needs to explain to the reader what they're looking at. All axes should be labelled so they understand what they're seeing here, including whether it's Australian dollars, US dollars, China yuan, etc. And always label your comparison lines and where you're getting your data from. So we've got there the red industry average line, which makes the data really interesting because we can see in 2014 we've actually dipped below industry average for the first time in 2008. I'd be putting a tagline speaking specifically on that area, and it automatically becomes something that is a conversation point, and people are going to be questioning as to why and going to want a solution.